and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors of the Prince George's County Combined Public Safety Honor Guard. Then join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the National Anthem sung by Lieutenant Grant Walker from the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department. If you could join with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lieutenant. Please remain standing for the invocation by Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff, Chaplain Solomon.
Heavenly Father, our Creator, we come before you today, giving you all honor and giving you all praise. We thank you because you are worthy to be praised. We thank and praise you, O God, how you allow your angels' protection to be round about us when we're out and about doing that which you have assigned our hands to do. Father God, whether we are in the correction facility, if we are sheriff, if we are police, fire department, any of those safety places, oh God, of those jobs that you've given us, we thank you for allowing us to be used. Continue to bless your people out here, oh God. Continue, Lord God, to strengthen them. Continue to give them wisdom. Give them understanding. Most of all, Lord God, allow your angels to always be with them, that they will always be kept safe as they keep our society safe. And we ask continued blessing upon this gathering, not only just us as individuals, but bless the food as well, Lord God, that we are going to eat later on, that it may nourish our bodies for this day. Continue to lead us, continue to guide us, continue to protect your people. This prayer we believe in you and trust in you as we gather together. We will say, amen.
My name is Mark Brady. I'm the Chief Spokesperson for the Prince George's County's Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department. Welcome to all of our guests and awardees today. Before I invite County Executive Rushern Baker up to the stage for his comments, I'd like to acknowledge that for the past 41 years, Prince George's County has taken this opportunity to recognize the men and women of public safety who place themselves in harm's way to ensure our safety. The Public Safety Valor Awards honors the heroic acts and sacrifices made by some of our bravest and our very best. Please join me in acknowledging our public safety personnel with a round of applause. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the 6th County Executive for Prince George's County, and for his 8th time here at the Public Safety Valor Awards, the Honorable Rushern L. Baker III.
I was advised to be careful walking up here, but I felt really comfortable that if I tripped, I'd have a lot of help in here. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Are we excited to be here? This is a big day. It's very special for me. This is my 8th year being here at the Valor Awards. It's something that's truly special to me. It gives me an opportunity on behalf of the men and women and the people of Prince George's County to say thank you to these brave men and women who put their lives on the line every day for all of us to make sure that we're safe, that when we're afraid, that they answer the call. So I want to, on behalf of the county, say thank you. I love this event because it gives us a chance to read about your heroic acts. And sometimes, you know, the description is really long. But that's okay. Because having the world understand exactly what you've done and getting them to appreciate the sacrifice not only that you make, but your family made is important. So we do want to take our time and honor you in an appropriate way. For that, for the last time as your county executive, I want to say thank you and thank you for giving me the honor of working with you and seeing how special each and every one of you are. God bless you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, County Executive Baker, for the last 8 years, whether it was good times, bad times, sad times, he stood side by side with the men and women of public safety, and I'd like to acknowledge that for the past 8 years with another round of applause for Mr. Baker. Next, I'd like to introduce our County Council Vice Chair, the Honorable Todd Turner. He will bring greetings on behalf of Council's Chair, the Honorable Danielle Glaros, and the Prince George's County Council.
Thank you, Mark, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and for those who are being honored today, congratulations. I bring you greetings on behalf of the County Council, our Council Chair, Danielle Glaros, and I do want to also recognize my colleagues who were recognized earlier because they too are hitting some milestones this year. In particular, I want to thank Councilmember Andre Harrison and Councilmember Obie Patterson, who will be completing their terms of office this year as well, and say thank you for your support for our public safety agencies. For my other two colleagues, Councilmembers Mel Franklin and Karen Tolles, we may actually see them again, potentially. But we also thank them for their service. I follow the 2B rule. It's to be quick and to be seated, particularly since we're honoring our public safety awardees this afternoon. But I do want to say, as a member of the County Council, unfortunately, we have experienced over the last 4 years losses in our public safety personnel. And it reminds us every single day of what you do for us as residents of Prince George's County. And I just want to say on behalf of our County Council that we appreciate the work and the sacrifice that you make every single day. And it's our pleasure to be able to honor you for the good things that you do every single day for the residents of Prince George's County. So once again, I say congratulations, and we look forward to congratulating the work that you will continue to do on behalf of our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I'd like to draw everybody's attention to their program book, the very first page inside the front cover. Jim Vance, who was a longtime anchor on News 4 and frequent MC at this very event, passed away in July of 2017. The public safety agencies rotate through who hosts this particular event. And it's the Fire and EMS Department's honor to have worked with NBC4 on every one of our events. And it was Vance, along with Doreen Gensler, who would agree to MC our Valor Awards ceremony. As you might imagine, the dynamic duo of Vance and Gensler received many requests to attend, host, or MC events like this around the Washington, D.C. area. While they couldn't make them all, The pair never missed this particular event. Our Valor Awards luncheon was always one of the Vance's favorites. He truly enjoyed spending time with the men and women of Prince George's County Public Safety. For his time spent with us and willingness to do so, we dedicate this year's program to the memory of Jim Vance. It is now my honor to introduce our distinguished MCs who will guide us through the awards program. Their complete bios can also be found in your program book. First, Doreen Gensler. She anchors News 4 at 6 and 11. She also serves as the station's medical reporter, filing cutting-edge health reports for all of the station's newscasts. For 28 years, Gensler anchored with Jim Vance, making him one of the longest tenured anchor teams in the country. When Vance died in July of 2017, Gensler led NBC's on-air tributes. Born in D.C. and educated in Arlington, Gensler is proud of her deep roots in the Washington, D.C. area. She spent several years honing her reporting and anchoring skills in Chattanooga, Charlotte, and Cleveland. Then Philadelphia at WCAU before joining NBC4 in 1989. Gensler also filled in for vacationing news anchors on the Today Show, as well as NBC at Sunrise. Her co-MC today is Tracy Wilkins. Wilkins' roots runs deep in Prince George's County, as she was raised in Beltsville and graduated from High Point High School. After graduating from Frostburg State University, Wilkins returned to the area as a production assistant and later a news writer for NBC4. Wilkins' first reporting job was at WCBI-TV in Columbus, Mississippi, where she earned an Associated Press Award for her general news reporting. From Columbus, Wilkins headed to East to serve as the government reporter and fill-in anchor at WFMY-TV in Greensboro, North Carolina. While working in Greensboro, Wilkins was dispatched to Washington, D.C. to report on the September 11th attacks, both for that station as well as for WUSA TV 9 here in Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, Doreen Gensler and Tracy Wilkins.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. What a nice honor for our late colleague, Jim Vance. We miss him. We know you miss him. I think he would, Mark is right, he did love this event. And I think I recall that he had a few Harley riding buddies in this crowd at past events that he and I did together. I think he would be proud to know that you all are remembering him today. He was pretty awesome. And I also want to let you know how much being part of this event meant to both of us. It is one of the nicest events that we get to do all year long. You know, we're pretty good at finding and sharing all the bad news, and that's why it means so much to us to be here to let you know how much we appreciate what you do and how much we appreciate being able to share the good news. We've got, I don't think we're the only ones who have camera crews in the room today, but I assure you that you'll see a report from Megan Fitzgerald, who's back there now, on our news tonight. We like to share the good news whenever we can, and we appreciate what you all do and the sacrifices that you make to keep all of us safe, and we are excited when we get a chance to share that. And as much as I miss Jim Vance, I am really delighted to be here with Tracy Wilkins. She is one of our strongest reporters, and being in this room with her, I can tell she knows everybody, almost everybody in here, and everybody seems to know her. She is doing a terrific job, I think, covering Prince George's County. Thank you. And she and I are going to be sharing some of these stories. She has covered some of these stories. She's been on the scene as I don't need to tell you guys that, but she knows what's going on, and she's going to be talking about stories that she has actually covered. So it's great to be here with you, Tracy.
It's an honor to be here with you, Doreen. Give Doreen another round of applause, everyone, for years of dedication. And today's about honoring heroes, and at News 4, Doreen is our hero. She really is. She really is. She has led us through one of the most challenging times at News 4, with the loss of Jim Vance. Doreen was our fearless leader and walked us through all of that with tremendous strength and helped all of us to find the strength to carry on. So thank you for all of your work, Doreen, and what you do for us as a leader at News 4.
Thank you, Tracy.
And it is an honor to be here with everyone. And I just got to say and remind you all, before we don't have another opportunity to do it, that NBC4 has a Prince George's County Bureau. Just down the street here in Greenbelt, we have our bureau just down the street here. I'm the Prince George's County Bureau Chief. I'm here 5 days a week, working in Prince George's County, telling the stories of Prince Georgians. And as a native Prince Georgian, it is my honor to be here. And every time I'm here in this facility, I think about my prom at High Point High School. You know, because this is where we had the prom. And I remember going into the bathroom and crying because I thought, I am never going to see my friends again. And then they invented Facebook, and now we see each other way too much. So it was for nothing. But today is about celebrating the work of the folks who have dedicated their lives to saving the lives of others, people who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. So it is our honor to be here today for that. And agency directors and county officials, please come forward for the first presentation. I'd like to also invite to the stage Colonel Shepard of the 113th WG Wing Commander and Colonel Maldonado, Deputy Commanding General, Air DC National Guard. Captain Jonathan Morgan is accompanied by his wife, Kate, Washington, D.C. Air National Guard. On Wednesday, April 5th, 2017, Captain Jonathan Morgan was conducting a training exercise over the District of Columbia. He took a sharp turn to avoid going into a restricted airspace and quickly fathomed something was wrong with the engine. While troubleshooting, he realized that he was now over Old Town Alexandria. As the plane's engine gave out, his training alerted him that it was time for him to drop his external fuel tanks. He decided to drop the tanks over the Potomac, saving folks in Old Town Alexandria from those tanks going down there. Captain Morgan and his jet, which quickly became a multi-million-dollar glider, were not yet out of trouble. Flames had started to come from the rear of the jet's engine. By this time, he was over the suburban sprawl of Prince George's County with no chance of making it back to Joint Base Andrews. Captain Morgan located an open field to land the aircraft, but then realized he couldn't make it to the field. He began looking around for somewhere else to put the plane down without causing any harm. The plane crashed in a wooded area in Clinton, about 600 feet from the nearest homes. Morgan ejected himself at the last possible moment, a violent procedure that set off little rockets under his seat. He parachuted to the ground and walked out of the woods unscathed. No one on the ground was hurt. For his extreme personal risk and the highest degree of judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, Captain Jonathan Morgan is hereby awarded a Gold Medal of Valor. I'd like to take this opportunity to also recognize some others who also had direct involvement in the events last April. The following individuals, please stand when your name is called and remain standing. Technical Sergeant Milan, Staff Sergeant Martin, Master Sergeant Lopez, Staff Sergeant Smith, Chief Master Sergeant Turner, and Senior Master Sergeant Clapper. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the life support and egress personnel of the 113th Wing of the Air National Guard. Let's give them another round of applause.
Congratulations, Captain Morgan. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start with Emergency Dispatcher 2, Andre Nichols. In the late evening of March 25th last year, 11 911 calls were received within seconds of each other, all reporting a shooting on Columbia Place in Landover. 5 separate incidents were created for the shooting, each one containing additional and in some cases contradictory information about the victims and the suspects. Emergency Dispatcher 2, Andre Nichols, quickly scanned the incident information and dispatched the first police officers within 15 seconds of receiving the report. He reviewed the remaining incidents for pertinent information, which was extracted and provided to responding officers without delay and prior to their arrival. While continuing to receive updated information, he relayed suspect information, assisted with coordination of a perimeter, and ensured that he was aware of which officers were on the scene, their exact location, and their status. Every second counts when dispatching emergency services personnel. Emergency Dispatcher Nichols knows that his knowledge and experience can significantly impact the severity of an incident and the outcome of the resulting investigation. This is just one example of his outstanding work ethic. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director Gigi Whittington is pleased to present Emergency Dispatcher 2 Andre Nichols with the Meritorious Service Bronze Medal. Congratulations.
Department of Corrections, Corporal Jamari Stargle and Private Yvonne Railey. On June 30th, 2017, Corporal Jamari Stargle and Private Yvonne Railey were in the middle of dispersing meals for lunch when an inmate was brutally attacked by another inmate. Several signals were called for a disturbance and a medical response when another inmate joined the brawl. Now, 2 inmates were beating 1 inmate. Private Railey approached one of the inmates from behind and was able to restrain him, while Corporal Stargle handcuffed him and took him to the floor. Housing officers Stargle and Railey were able to get the other inmate to stop kicking and punching the badly beaten inmate. Corporal Stargle and Private Railey remained calm and used their training, quick thinking, and tactical maneuvers to bring the situation under control. The officers had the 2 inmates who were assaulting the other inmate in handcuffs and on the floor when the emergency response team arrived. Corporal Stargle and Private Railey put themselves in harm's way to save the life of an inmate, which requires bravery and commitment. For their actions, they are being awarded the Bronze Medal of Valor.
Next, it's my pleasure to call up firefighter medic Cory Armstrong, firefighter medic Jonathan Coleman, firefighter medic Charles Merritt II, firefighter medic Jim Sylvester, and firefighter Thomas Catterton. On Saturday, October 21st, medic units from fire and EMS stations 845 and 840 were on the scene of Sandpiper Drive for a house fire. The crews observed a 57-year-old male standing in his yard watching fire suppression efforts underway at his neighbor's house. Then suddenly, the man collapsed to the ground. Firefighter medics Coleman, Merritt, Sylvester, Armstrong, and firefighter Thomas Catterton ran toward the man. It was noted that the patient had no pulse, and crews quickly began resuscitative efforts. Also, in a life-threatening dysrhythmia, he was loaded into Medic 845 and was immediately defibrillated. While on the way to the hospital, CPR was continued for about another minute when the patient had a return of spontaneous circulation. He had suffered a cardiac emergency. However, prior to units clearing the emergency room, his prognosis was good. On the following shift, crew members had the pleasure of meeting the patient at his home by this time. His wife expressed the family's gratitude for the crew's efforts and quick treatment. The patient informed the crew that the cardiologist who had treated him at the hospital said, if not for the unfortunate fire at his neighbor's home and the crew already being there on the scene, the outcome of his emergency likely would not have been favorable. For good judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Cory Armstrong, firefighter medic Jonathan Coleman, firefighter medic Charles Merritt II, firefighter medic Jim Sylvester Jr., and firefighter Thomas Catterton Jr. are hereby awarded a bronze medal for excellence in EMS.
Everyone, please give them another round of applause. Emergency Dispatcher 1, Roberto C. Ramirez, please come to the stage. In the late evening of October 27, 2017, while assigned to the H Sector Talk Group, Emergency Dispatcher Roberto C. Ramirez received a radio message from an officer that he was on the scene of a large fight with shots fired in a busy Suitland intersection. After dispatching additional police officers to his location, Ramirez tried unsuccessfully several times to get additional information from that officer. Receiving no reply, he used the alert tone, notifying responding officers, and upgraded his incident to a signal 13. As the incident progressed, arriving officers advised that the initial call had one at gunpoint, while other officers were in a foot pursuit of a second armed suspect. Ramirez ensured that officers not on the scene were aware that everyone had been accounted for and began working with them to establish a perimeter. He obtained and broadcast a description of the suspect to officers in the area, making sure that adjoining sectors also knew of the situation. Fortunately, a deputy sheriff working on a separate talk group was able to identify and subdue the suspect based on the information provided by Ramirez. Roberto Ramirez demonstrated that an alert with proactive dispatcher at Public Safety Communications, partnered with the law enforcement officers on the scene, could result in the resolution of a dangerous situation without further injury or loss of life. Amazing. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director G.G.R. Whittington is pleased to present Emergency Dispatcher 1, Roberto C. Ramirez, with the Merritt Service Bronze Medal.
Next, we'd like to call up Sergeant Nicholas Cicale. On August 14, 2015, an officer was working a traffic detail when an accident happened at Marlboro Pike and Brooks Drive in Suitland. The officer arrived on the scene and observed an individual fleeing. He gave chase and caught up with the suspect on Marlboro Pike and Walker Mill Road. While attempting to speak to the suspect about the accident, he realized that the suspect was experiencing a drug-induced crisis. The officer ordered the suspect to the ground and requested backup. The suspect ignored the officer's command and, without provocation, lunged at the officer and immediately began grabbing for his weapon. He knocked the officer to the ground as they continued to struggle for the weapon. The suspect, 6'8" and 250 pounds, was now on top of the officer, who was able to maintain his weapon and discharge 2 rounds during the violent struggle. 1 round hit the suspect but did not have an immediate effect. He continued his attack on the officer to gain control of the weapon. The officer realized he was in a fight for his life as the suspect continued his attempt to disarm him. Sergeant Cicale responded to the scene and observed the suspect on top of the officer struggling for the weapon. Fearing for the officer's safety, he immediately deployed his taser, which briefly took effect. The suspect continued his struggle and fight for the officer's weapon. Cicale deployed his taser several more times, each only effective for the 5-second cycle. The suspect continued fighting with both officers. It was apparent that the suspect was not going to surrender. Sergeant Cicale continued to engage in the fight to protect the life of a fellow officer, incapacitating the suspect and bringing the incident to a successful resolution as additional officers arrived. His decisive action and unrelenting determination were directly responsible for the apprehension of that suspect. Therefore, Chief Hank Stawinski is honored to present Sergeant Nicholas Cicale with the Bronze Medal of Valor.
Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Michael Merritt, Firefighter Charles Gross, Firefighter Tyler G. Shoemaker, Firefighter Zachary Staley, Fire Medic Technician Daniel Robinson. On October 29, 2017, Public Safety Communications alerted units to a house fire, reportedly with occupants trapped in an unknown area of the residence. Crews arrived on the scene of a 2-story wood-frame dwelling with smoke showing from all sides. Lieutenant Michael Merritt did a quick assessment around the home, checking for fire conditions and possible trapped occupants. After observing flames on the first floor, he returned to his crew and gave orders to proceed. Firefighter Tyler Shoemaker advanced a hose line to the fire area, protecting Merritt and firefighters Charles Gross and Zachary Staley while they searched upstairs for the trapped occupants. Despite high heat and thick smoke, the 3 firefighters made their way upstairs to search for the trapped children. Stopping at the top of the stairs and listening, Merritt heard groaning to his right. He entered the bedroom and found a child. Knowing the ladder truck had not yet arrived on the scene, he directed Gross to remove the patient down the interior stairway. While continuing to search the bedroom, Lieutenant Merritt found a bed 6 inches off a wall. While searching that void, he discovered a baby beneath a blanket and on the edge of the bed. After exiting the residence, it appeared that the young patient was not breathing. Unable to locate a pulse, Merritt quickly began CPR. Firefighter Staley discovered a 3rd child in a neighboring bedroom and removed the victim down the interior stairway. Fire technician Daniel Robinson and engine driver performed outside duties, including positioning ladders, ensuring an adequate water supply to keep the attack line charged, and assisting ambulance personnel until the victims were brought to safety. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Lieutenant Michael J. Merritt and firefighters Charles R. Gross, Tyler G. Shoemaker, and Zachary A. Staley are hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Valor for personal risk, judgment, and zeal. Firefighter medic technician Daniel Robinson is hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor. You know, Doreen, it's amazing when we hear these stories. We think about these guys getting up and they go out prepared to save a life. And in these instances where they have the opportunity to do that, this family's life forever changed by what was done.
Right, because they run in when we run out.
Exactly.
And it's also striking, Rushern Baker talked about some of the narratives of these stories can be a bit long, but it is important for us to hear these stories. I'm struck by the level of skills that our public safety officers have to have. You know, there are specialized jobs now, but these men and women, they have all kinds of different skills. They're dealing with medical emergencies, life and death, violence. They have to, the dispatchers who have to coordinate from a distance, all of these different personnel. There are just a whole lot of skills in play here, and it is impressive. Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Christopher Smart, Fire Lieutenant Jeffrey Burton, Firefighter Marquet Johnson, Firefighter Medic Captain Scott Williams, Firefighter Medic Technician Christopher Abbott, Firefighter Antoine Holbert, Firefighter Matthew Kershaw, Firefighter Brian Lissy, and Firefighter Jason Parker. On the morning of April 23rd, 2017, crews from Oxon Hill Fire EMS Station 821 and Allentown Road Fire EMS Station 832 responded to a 2-alarm fire on Corning Avenue. Truck 821 was the first to arrive and reported that occupants were jumping from balconies. Lieutenant Christopher Smart positioned the apparatus at the front of the structure and split his crew. Firefighter Jason Parker was sent to the rear to throw a 24-foot extension ladder, while fire technician Abbott placed ladders at the front of the dwelling. Due to numerous calls advising of people trapped and several obvious rescues, Smart and firefighter Johnson entered the structure without the protection of a hose line. Despite encountering significant fire that had already extended up through the roof, the pair began aggressively searching the floor of origin. Truck 832 arrived shortly thereafter and positioned at the rear of the structure where Lieutenant Jeffrey Burton observed an occupant trapped up in a second-floor apartment. Recognizing the urgency of that situation, he instructed firefighters Kershaw and Lissy to place and extend a 28-foot extension ladder next to truck 821's ladder. Firefighter Parker had already reached the female victim but was unable to remove her by himself. He did, however, calm and reassure the frantic woman while firefighter Holbert quickly ascended the ladder to help him. Captain Scott Williams, who was off duty but had returned to Station 821, and firefighter Kershaw heeled the ladders while Burton, Holbert, Lissy, and Parker used the side-by-side ladder technique to remove the patient. The quick thinking and immediate action of everyone on the scene, as well as their ability to work as a cohesive unit, are directly responsible for preventing a potentially tragic outcome. For great personal risk, good judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter Medic Lieutenant Christopher Smart, Jr., Fire Lieutenant Jeffrey Burton, and firefighter Marquet Johnson are hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Honor. For personal risk, judgment, and zeal, firefighter medic Captain Scott Williams and firefighters Antoine Holbert, Matthew Kershaw, Brian Lissy, and Jason Parker are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor. Congratulations.
You know, Doreen, I was just thinking about how when we do these stories on our firefighters, our first responders, our law enforcement, doing these amazing things. I can't remember one time that I talked to one of these folks and said, you know you're a hero. And they say, yeah, I do, I know that. Yes, thank you. You know, it's always, no, I'm not. You know, anybody would have done it. And I'm thinking, no.
Just doing my job.
Right, just doing my job. And it is, but, you know, their abilities just incredible, and their instinct to, and as you said, training to kick in and do these things. It's always miraculous. We love sharing these stories because the public likes to be reminded that we're surrounded by heroes.
And the part about working as a cohesive unit, people in every line of work, including ours, right? know how difficult, how challenging it can be to work as a cohesive unit and communicate and have everybody working toward the same goals. And it is what our public safety officers do every day of the week. I'm also thinking that some of these heroes, that we would call them, would just as soon skip the photo op.
Right.
But their families would kill them. So
right.
So we are patient. Right.
That's right. This is history.
And this is our opportunity to honor these men and women, and we won't be denied.
Another round of applause, everyone, for these outstanding firefighters and their work. Firefighter Thomas J. Hayden, firefighter medic Lieutenant Cody T. Wargo, firefighter Joshua P. Buckler, please come to the stage. On the morning of December 19th, 2017, fire and EMS department units responded to Curtis Drive for a reported apartment fire. Public Safety Communications received multiple calls. Some reported people trapped. Crews arrived on the scene of a 3-story garden-style apartment with fire showing at the rear and right side of the structure. At the rear of the building, Lieutenant Cody Wargo observed 3 residents trapped on various balconies and quickly split his crew. He ordered the placement of ladders to assist with evacuation as other crew members began advancing a hose line into the dwelling. Firefighter Thomas Hayden placed a 24-foot ladder at a 3rd-floor balcony where smoke and flames vented from the apartment. He calmed the residents and assisted them down the ladder. Firefighter Hayden then repositioned his ladder to the 2nd floor, and he and a firefighter, Joshua Buckler, began removing 2 residents from a balcony. Once safely on the ground, all of the residents were placed in the care of EMS personnel. With reports of additional people trapped on the 2nd floor, Lieutenant Wargo and his crew conducted a primary search and began extinguishment, all the while operating above significant fire. No other victims were discovered during the search. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter Thomas Hayden is hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. For personal risk, judgment, and zeal, firefighter medic Cody T. Wargo and firefighter Joshua P. Buckler are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Hold up.
Oh.
That's a nice photo op. That's what it's all about. There was a lot of zeal in this room, I'm noticing. We need more zeal.
Right.
We need more zeal everywhere. Congratulations, gentlemen. Please join us on stage, Volunteer Lieutenant Nicholas Biddle, Volunteer Firefighter Brody Bennett, and Volunteer Lieutenant Christopher Hagan. On the evening of December 10th, 2016, Public Safety Communications received a 911 call for a Christmas tree on fire in a basement apartment at 3404 Dean Drive. Hyattsville Engine 801, with crew members from the Berwyn Heights Volunteer Fire Department on board, arrived on the scene of a 3-story garden-style dwelling but found nothing showing. The engine's officer, Lieutenant Hagan, established tactical command and directed the crew to deploy a 200-foot, 1.5-inch attack line into the building through the main entrance. Once inside the terrace level, the crew located apartment A2 and observed dark smoke coming around the closed door. Tactical command advised PSC that there was a working fire in the apartment. With a charged hose line in place, firefighter Nicholas Biddle forced entry into the apartment and was met by dark smoke and low visibility. As the line was advanced into the apartment, Biddle began a primary search and located an unconscious victim on the floor near the entrance. He notified Lieutenant Hagan of his finding, and with the assistance of firefighter Bennett, they removed the victim from the apartment. Biddle and Bennett then re-entered the building and continued the primary search. Upon putting out the fire, Bennett discovered a second disoriented victim in a rear bedroom. He helped the injured person from the apartment and placed them in the care of EMS personnel. The cohesive efforts demonstrated by all operating on the scene of this incident saved 2 lives. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, Volunteer Lieutenant Nicholas Biddle and Volunteer Firefighter Brody Bennett are hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. And Volunteer Lieutenant Christopher Hagan is hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Emergency call taker Maisha Fair and emergency dispatcher Venetia A. Collins-Deck, firefighter medic Lieutenant Katherine P. Johnson, firefighter Antoine S. Lanier, and firefighter Samantha L. Satterfield. In the early afternoon of November 15, 2017, emergency call taker Maisha Fair received a 911 call from a very excited citizen reporting a house fire on Lorraine Drive in Temple Hills, with people trapped inside of that house fire. She swiftly gathered as much information as possible to alert the fire and EMS department and then calm the citizen so that pertinent details about the possible victims could be obtained. Fair was initially told there was one person inside. However, through the caller's interaction with neighbors, she learned that a wheelchair-bound occupant and possibly her son were inside. Call taker Fair obtained the location of the fire in relation to the last known location of the victims and advised the caller that fire and EMS personnel were en route and instructed her to ask well-meaning bystanders to cease attempts to get into the house as flames were now coming out of the front door. When the caller informed Fair that someone inside the home was trying to break out a window, she directed the caller to show firefighters the window on arrival. Fair maintained focus on bystander safety by having the caller tell them several times to back away from the burning house. Emergency dispatcher Venetia Collins-Deck dispatched and coordinated response to the incident, gathering relevant details from the callers and ensuring that information was disseminated to the responding fire and EMS personnel. She provided concise information and verified that it was both received and understood. Dispatcher Collins-Deck monitored the radio for word that the victims had been located and to provide additional resources without delay as requested. Fire and EMS department units arrived on the scene of the reported house fire and encountered a one-story brick rambler with a basement and fire showing from the front. A search for the trapped occupants was initiated. As a hose line was stretched into the structure to extinguish the fire, firefighter Antoine Lanier went ahead of the hose line through the right side of the structure and was met by high heat and heavy smoke conditions. With the assistance of a crew member, firefighter Samantha Satterfield seamlessly advanced her hose line into the structure and battled floor-to-ceiling fire conditions while Lieutenant Katherine Johnson conducted a rapid primary search of the fire area for trapped victims. Johnson quickly located 2 adult victims, male and female, and was assisted with getting them outside and in the care of EMS personnel. Both patients, pulseless and not breathing, were transported to a nearby hospital with life support measures continuing while en route. Firefighter Satterfield sustained 1st and 2nd degree burns, but continued to operate and provide support to crews during victim removal. Tragically, despite their very best efforts of firefighters, medics, and hospital staff, both patients succumbed to injuries a short time after arriving at the hospital. For thoroughness and accuracy and contributing to safety and prevention of loss of life to the well-meaning bystanders, emergency call taker Maisha S. Fair is hereby awarded a silver medal for service. For creating a flawless flow of information from the 911 caller to the responders, which enabled them to swiftly locate and remove the victims. Emergency dispatcher Venetia A. Collins-Deck is hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Meritorious Service. For personal risk, unusual judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Katherine P. Johnson, firefighter Antoine Lanier, and firefighter Samantha Satterfield are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Congratulations to that impressive group of firefighters and dispatchers. Mrs. Brenda Raynor Welsh. This is a story you're not going to hear on the news, and that is exactly why we should be sharing it with all of you today. On November 1st of last year, at 12 hours, I guess that means at noontime, Ms. Karen Goodman called the Prince George's Public Safety Communications office to report that she believed her elderly father was in trouble. She received a voicemail from him saying he did not want to burden the family anymore and was leaving his life insurance paperwork on the table for her. Ms. Goodman, who lives in Kansas and has no other family members living in this area, called the police to check on the welfare of her father. Although an attempt to contact Mr. Goodman was made, Ms. Goodman began calling various components within the police department to have someone continue the investigation into her father's condition. Ultimately, she reached Mrs. Brenda Raynor Welsh, who is assigned to the Regional Investigation Division Central Detective Bureau at District 3 in Landover. Mrs. Raynor Welsh bears no responsibility for welfare checks in the District 5 area of Clinton, where Mr. Goodman lived. However, she decided to act above and beyond what is required of her job. Through her determination, officers were requested to return to Mr. Goodman's home. They were advised to check the rear basement entrance and windows on the lower level, where Mr. Goodman was found, suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. Officers took immediate life-saving action, and Mr. Goodman survived. But for Mrs. Raynor Welsh's actions, Mr. Goodman surely would have died. She took personal responsibility for assisting the Goodman family, going far above and beyond her duties and responsibilities. Therefore, Police Chief Hank Stawinski is proud to present General Clerk 6, Mrs. Brenda Raynor Welsh, with the distinguished honor of Civilian of the Year. Congratulations.
I'd like to invite Private First Class Biddy to the stage for the presentation of this award, and volunteer EMT Phillip L. Martin as well. On March 3rd, 2017, Private First Class Biddy from the Prince George's County Police Department, who is also a volunteer member of the Seat Pleasant Volunteer Fire Company, Incorporated, left the fire station in his police cruiser and headed home. While en route, he was talking to EMT Martin on his mobile device. Martin noticed during the conversation that PFC Biddy's speech was becoming incoherent. And then the phone went dead. He immediately contacted Public Safety Communications and requested to have units check on Biddy's welfare. Meanwhile, EMT Martin traced PFC's Biddy's whereabouts, and he headed to the location. On arrival, he found Biddy unresponsive in his cruiser. He removed the officer and began emergency care until units from both the fire, EMS, and county police departments arrived on the scene. EMS personnel transported him priority 2 status to Prince George's Hospital Center. It was later determined that PFC Biddy's medical emergency was the result of CO poisoning emitting from his cruiser. Yes, Martin's quick thinking, immediate action, and determination to find his friend and colleague helped save PFC Biddy's life. For great judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, volunteer EMT Phillip L. Martin is awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. Now, this is a story that was reported on the news. And what's not in here is that these two are longtime friends. And so when he heard his buddy's voice not sound right, he knew immediately something was wrong. Stepped into action, helped to save his life. Let's give them another round of applause, everyone.
Please come up and join us on the stage, firefighter medic Jorge Pacar. Not every role or assignment within the fire and EMS department generates the accolades common to those involving feats of valor. Often, it's the individuals in support roles who make the operations of the organization run so smoothly. Firefighter medic Jorge Pacar is one such individual. Pacar demonstrates the highest level of dedication, commitment, and work ethic in every aspect of his job. He has distinguished himself over the past year through his dedication and commitment to the department's first EMS-focused public education program. Over the past year, Pacar developed and implemented a hands-only CPR program that has far exceeded anyone's expectations. Listen to this. He's taught more than 7,700 residents, partnering with churches, gyms, shopping malls, and the University of Maryland, to name a few. That's a lot of people who have learned CPR in Prince George's County. The goal is improving cardiac arrest survival. He continues to expand his program and enlists many volunteer organizations to assist him. Pacar has also been pivotal in the development of education for members within the department. Using electronic data, he creates a report for EMS supervisors to use and for providing feedback from cardiac arrest patients. This data provides important feedback to EMS providers and helps improve the delivery of patient care in the county. While this data was available in the past, the streamlined process allows for more real-time feedback and overall system-wide improvement. In addition to his activities within this department, firefighter medic Pacar was selected to become an instructor of the Maryland Resuscitation Academy in Howard County. This unique program was designed to improve cardiac arrest management for fire and EMS agencies and only accepts the highest qualified applicants. His selection is a direct result of his dedication, professionalism, and compassion that is evident in everything that he does. Pacar is a consummate professional and brings great credit to this organization and to this county. The excellence firefighter medic Pacar demonstrates in the performance of his duties, ability to work so well with others, and commitment to provide the highest caliber of service to the residents of Prince George's County are admirable and worthy of recognition. His innovative thinking distinguishes him as a positive role model for his peers and as a valued member of our department and county government. For these reasons, Fire Chief Benjamin Barksdale is pleased to name firefighter medic Jorge Pacar as the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department's 2017 Paramedic of the Year. Congratulations.
Just outstanding work. Everyone, give him another round of applause and congratulations. Firefighter William K. Gresson, could you please come to the stage? In the early morning hours of Sunday, July 9th, 2017, firefighter William Gresson was traveling north on Crane Highway when he noticed a light angling up through a densely wooded area. Hoping there was nothing to it, but he wanted to be certain, he made a U-turn and stopped near the expanse of brush. Closer examination revealed a headlight partially buried beneath the foliage. He carefully moved approximately 120 feet down the embankment where he observed the undercarriage of an automobile. Despite being scratched and bleeding, he was not deterred from searching for a possible victim. Down trees forced Gresson to return to the rear of the vehicle and climb atop the roof, which enabled him to see a female pinned in the driver's side door. The victim's head was between the headrest and door, blood was running down her face, and the seatbelt tightly gripped her neck. He quickly reached into the window through broken glass and moved the woman's head forward. Then he unlatched the seatbelt that was choking her. The limp and not breathing victim fell over onto the passenger side floor. Suddenly, she gasped loudly as she began taking in air. He hurriedly called 911 and gave his location. The 22-year-old female was flown to Prince George's Hospital Center suffering a form of fractured clavicle. Firefighter Gresson's quick thinking and immediate action on the scene of this incident saved the young woman's life. Selflessly, he placed himself in harm's way by traveling down the steep embankment in the dark, not knowing what he might encounter. The favorable outcome in this situation is directly attributed to his selfless intervention. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter William K. Gresson is awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. Additionally, Fire Chief Benjamin Barksdale was pleased to name firefighter Gresson as the Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department's 2017 Firefighter of the Year.
On January 6th, 2014, Lieutenant James Doc Delbert Brooks, a 20-year member of the Prince George's Volunteer Marine Fire Rescue, was winterizing the boats and station at the Fort Washington Marina in preparation of record low temperatures forecast for the following day. While at the marina, shortly after midnight, he experienced a medical emergency. Firefighters and paramedics arrived to find him in cardiac arrest and immediately began pre-hospital care. He was transported to a nearby medical facility and was subsequently relocated to MedStar at Washington Hospital Center in critical condition. Despite their very best efforts in treating Doc, tragically, he succumbed a week later. For making the ultimate sacrifice while in the line of duty, Volunteer Lieutenant James Doc Delbert Brooks, Sr. is hereby posthumously awarded the Gold Medal of Valor. Accepting this award is Lieutenant Brooks' widow, Mrs. Bessie Stein Brooks. Mrs. Stein Brooks is being escorted to the stage by Volunteer Chief Janet DeMeritt. Mrs. Stein Brooks, thank you for your sacrifice.
Could Sergeant Kurt Moore, Master Corporal John Nicholson, Corporal Earl Jones, Corporal Matthew Eckert, Corporal Daniel Morgan, Corporal Horace Stonback, Master Corporal Gene Gapp, Corporal Samuel Agucha all come to the stage. The holidays can be a depressing time for many who are incarcerated. All correctional staff are more alert during the holiday season and are trained to recognize the signs of inmates who may be having trouble coping. On December 6, 2017, Corporal Samuel Agucha, a Master Corporal, Gene Gupp, were completing their initial morning rounds in housing Unit 5 when they found an unresponsive detainee who clearly intended to take his own life. They sprang into action. While one officer called for a medical response, the other officers began making life-saving steps to help the detainee. Without waiting a minute, the emergency response team was in the cell and immediately began to access the detainee. They could not feel a pulse, and the detainee was lifeless. The emergency response team began taking turns performing resuscitation or CPR for more than 11 minutes. The 6-member team took turns performing chest compressions on the detainee. When paramedics arrived, they connected the detainee to a cardiac monitor and discovered the man had a pulse. The 27-year-old detainee's life had been saved by 2 very quick-thinking and dedicated housing unit officers and by the persistence of a well-trained team of emergency response officers. Master Corporal Gene Gupp and Corporal Samuel Agucha are receiving the Silver Medal of Valor for their life-saving heroic act that prevented the death of an inmate. Sergeant Kurt Moore, Master Corporal John Nicholson, Corporal Earl Jones, Corporal Matthew Eckert, Corporal Daniel Morgan, and Corporal Horace Stambach are receiving a Gold Medal of Valor for their life-saving measures and the successful resuscitation of life.
You guys clean up pretty well, you know. Very shiny shoes, looking good. You're ready for your close-up here. want to call up now emergency call taker 2, Matthew Kreitz. In the late evening of August 11th last year, Prince George's County was experiencing record rainfall in several areas, making some roads impassable and extremely dangerous. Emergency call taker Kreitz received a 911 call from a citizen in Fort Washington, reporting that she and a family member were in a vehicle that was stalled in the middle of a flooded roadway and the water was rising rapidly. After working to gain her trust and regain her composure, Kreitz verified her location and sent help. As the water continued to rise closer to the passenger compartment and the car started to drift, he guided her and her family member out of the passenger compartment and to safety on the vehicle's roof. She said many times she couldn't do it. Kreitz, however, remained focused and assured her that she had to get onto the roof or risk much greater danger. With his guidance, encouragement, and persistence, both occupants made it safely to the roof of that vehicle. Kreitz stayed on the phone, keeping the victims engaged in conversation while updating the rescuers on their condition. This enabled rescuers to devise a plan that successfully brought those victims to safety without any unnecessary risk. His ability to restore calm and provide life-saving instructions prevented these residents from becoming two of the nearly 200 flash flood fatalities that happen every year in this country. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director Gigi Whittington is pleased to present emergency call taker Matthew Kreitz with the Meritorious Service Gold Medal. Congratulations.
Sergeant Anthony Weber, could you please come to the stage? The Officer of the Year for the Department of Corrections is Sergeant Anthony Weber, the epitome of customer service. Whether his customer service is his colleague or an inmate, Sergeant Weber responds with an excellent sense of commitment and reliability. He is a 7-year veteran who worked for several years in the Information Technology Unit. While a member of that unit in 2017, he was instrumental in automating incident reports and providing training to staff and utilizing this daily essential tool. Sergeant Weber's knowledge and eagerness to streamline capabilities and his curious nature allowed him to assist the central control officers, the eyes of the Correctional Center, to view cameras simultaneously, preventing blind spots in the facility. He helped make the Correctional Center safer by finding ways to make the cameras work more efficiently. His passion for his work and for his colleagues is unparalleled. He is reliable, professional, and can always find a solution for a technology issue, whether on or off the clock. The entire staff is honored to have Sergeant Anthony Weber represent the Prince George's Department of Corrections as the 2017 Officer of the Year for using technology to make the department safer and for his commitment to excellence and service to the citizens of Prince George's County.
Corporal Thomas Russell, Corporal Stanford Moore, Corporal Gary Proctor, Deputy First Class Tyrone Macklin, Deputy First Class Phillip Turner, Firefighter Medic Captain Bruce Bridget, Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Gregory Mangum, Firefighter Medic Technician Darren Tomlinson, Firefighter John Jenkins, Volunteer Lieutenant James McKnight. I hope we have enough room on the stage for all these stuff. Firefighter Philip Crooks, Firefighter Kirk Spencer, Volunteer Firefighter EMT William Favret, Firefighter Matthew Bobchak, Firefighter Christopher Saulnier. That's everybody. On February 3rd, 2017, Sheriff's Corporal Thomas Russell Corporal Stanford Moore, Corporal Gary Proctor, Deputy First Class Phillip Turner, and Deputy First Class Tyrone Macklin were driving in the Clinton area when they noticed traffic beginning to slow. Corporal Russell looked to his left and noticed fire coming from the rear of a house. Being a volunteer firefighter for years, he opened the Pulse Point app on his phone to determine the address of the fire and called it into Public Safety Communications. As Corporal Russell was driving to the address indicated on the Pulse Point app, he noticed the fire was at a location different than what the app showed. That technology doesn't always work, does it? He immediately provided the correct address to dispatchers, which directly impacted the fire department's arrival time and increased the chances for a successful rescue of the trapped occupants. Quick thinking. When the deputies arrived at the burning house, Corporal Russell realized there were no citizens standing outside, and the vehicles parked at the house led him to believe that people might be inside. Based on experience, he knew that forcing entry prior to placing a hose line would provide oxygen to the fire and probably worsen conditions. Firefighters and EMS personnel soon arrived on the scene, and Corporal Russell provided a scene update and helped with stretching hose lines. The crew from the first arriving engine, Captain Bruce Bridget and firefighter Darren Tomlinson, advanced a hose line through the front door of the residence and proceeded toward the fire located at the rear. Interior conditions were nearly untenable with high heat and thick smoke. As they moved forward, Bridget located an unconscious person in the living room and attempted to remove the victim, as Tomlinson provided protection with a charged hose line. Due to the victim's size, Bridget called for Tomlinson's assistance. Together, they removed the victim to the front yard and into the care of waiting medics and sheriff's deputies. Bridget and Tomlinson returned inside and re-engaged with additional searches, as well as located and extinguished that fire. Firefighters Matthew Bobchek and Christopher Saulnier were the first arriving basic life support ambulance and took over care of the victim. The pair quickly assessed the unconscious patient as having a weak pulse and ineffective breathing. The crew knew time was key if this patient was going to survive. They provided oxygen and decided to transport the patient to the hospital rather than wait for a medic unit that was still on the way. This decision saved valuable minutes and allowed for faster administration of emergency hospital treatment. Soon after the first victim was removed, Lieutenant Gregory Mangum and firefighter John Jenkins from the Brandywine Fire EMS Station and volunteer Lieutenant James McKnight, firefighter Kirk Spencer, and volunteer firefighter William Favret from Morningside Volunteer Fire Department arrived and initiated interior operations, including advancing hose lines and a systematic search of the house for additional occupants. During the search, a second victim was discovered in a bedroom. Collectively, both crews worked to remove the unconscious victim to the front yard of the house. With the first patient already being transported and other EMS units still responding, firefighter Jenkins performed a rapid assessment and determined the victim to be in cardiac arrest. CPR was immediately initiated with the assistance of a deputy sheriff. The pair were soon assisted by firefighter Phillip Crooks, who saw CPR being performed without first aid equipment and retrieved the oxygen and AED from his engine. Medics arrived moments later and transported the patient to a nearby hospital. Both patients were stabilized and transferred to another medical facility for more definitive care. After weeks in the hospital intensive care unit and additional time in a rehab center, both of the victims, both teenagers, have completely recovered from their ordeal. For his quick thinking and calm reaction in the face of danger, Corporal Thomas Russell is receiving a Gold Medal of Valor. For their courageous actions that led to the saving of 2 lives, Corporal Stanford Moore, Corporal Gary Proctor, Deputy First Class Tyrone Macklin, and Deputy First Class Phillip Turner are receiving a Silver Medal of Valor. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Captain Bruce Bridget, firefighter medic Lieutenant Gregory Mangum, firefighter medic technician Darren Tomlinson, and firefighter John Jenkins are hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. And for personal risk, judgment, zeal, and zeal, volunteer Lieutenant James McKnight, firefighter Phillip Crooks, firefighter Kirk Spencer, and volunteer firefighter EMS William Favret are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor. for unusual personal risk, judgment, and EMS skills, knowledge, and abilities, firefighter Matthew Bobchek and firefighter Christopher Saulnier are hereby awarded a bronze medal for excellence in EMS. Great teamwork, guys. Congratulations. Well, Tracy and I have to give you all a lot of credit for hanging with us through so many awards. I hear some kids are getting a little restless. I'm sure some phone calls have gone unanswered, and some emails have gone unwritten, and some classes have been missed, and all sorts of things like that. I appreciate the fact that you, like us, believe this is important, and you are staying with us through the full award ceremony. We have 2 more awards, and we've saved a couple of the best for last, so we appreciate your patience. We're glad you're still with us.
Looking at all the family members lined up to get pictures as they make their way.
A lot of proud family members in this room. Let's hear it for the families.
There are a lot of mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and wives and family members who I know would wait hours and hours for this moment to see their loved ones be honored for the work that they do for us every day.
This is looks like a receiving line of congratulations on the sides of the room. A lot of hugs and handshakes.
I need to also mention, as we talk about family members who are proud, how much this means for the department heads, for the chiefs and all of the folks who are overseeing these people. I mean, to have a long list of people who you can enter and say they deserve a Valor Award has got to make each and every one of these folks proud.
I think the department heads like posing for those pictures with the heroes.
Without question. Everyone give that group another round of applause for that outstanding work. From the police department, can we please have Corporal Angelo Piazza join us on stage here? Corporal Piazza is the police officer of the year, ladies and gentlemen. On January 20th, 2017, at approximately 0940 hours, Corporal Angelo Piazza was traveling southbound on Crane Highway when he observed thick black smoke in the sky over the area of US 50 and US 301. As he raced toward the scene, it became clear that that smoke was rising from the cab of a tractor-trailer and a Toyota Corolla that had been involved in a high-speed head-on collision with one another. Upon his arrival, the cab of the tractor-trailer was fully engulfed in flames. He immediately ran to the flaming wreckage of the tractor-trailer, where he learned that the driver of that vehicle had escaped and that there were no other occupants inside. The second vehicle, a Toyota Corolla, was also on fire. Corporal Piazza and two unidentified citizens found an unconscious driver trapped inside the burning car. At his direction, one of the unidentified citizens retrieved the fire extinguisher from the trunk of his cruiser. Despite the danger to himself posed by the flames, he attempted to rescue the trapped driver. The fire extinguisher was deployed, but it was too small to completely extinguish the fire. It gave some relief from the flames and more of an opportunity to rescue the unconscious driver. At great risk to his own safety, he continued attempts to extract the driver from the burning vehicle. The driver was still restrained by his seatbelt. The force of the impact caused the seatbelt tensioner to lock, which pinned him in his seat and made unbuckling the seatbelt impossible. The seatbelt had to be cut. Once the seatbelt was cut, Piazza pulled the unconscious driver from the burning vehicle, making sure to move the driver carefully to avoid aggravating any injuries to his neck and his head. The driver was moved to a safe area away from the burning vehicles to await the arrival of the fire department. Imagine all of this happening in seconds. The way we're reading it, it sounds like he had minutes, but this is work in seconds. For his bravery and dedication to duty and astute vigilance in saving the life of another at great risk to his own safety, Police Chief Hank Stawinski is honored to present Corporal Angela Piazza the Gold Medal of Valor and Police Officer of the Year.
Now I'd like to call up retired Lieutenant Colonel John Proles. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Proles? Firefighter Medic Captain John Wiseman. You guys have your own fan club here. And Firefighter Medic Stephen Zamari. Is that correct? Zamari. And Deputy Sheriff Sergeant Christine Wiseman from the Sheriff's Department. This is a story that we covered extensively on News 4. On Tuesday, you all know it well too, I'm sure. Tuesday, October 24th, was a busy day at Babe's Boys Tavern, also known as Top of the Hill in Upper Marlboro. It was a typical lunchtime crowd with quite a few Prince George's County employees, many of whom were public safety personnel. Just after 1 p.m., a vehicle left the roadway and struck the side brick wall of the building. The vehicle plowed through the wall and straight into the dining room, missing Deputy Sheriff Sergeant Christine Wiseman by inches. In addition to catastrophic destruction to the building's interior, several occupants were injured. Seated at the counter enjoying lunch was retired Prince George's County Fire EMS Lieutenant Colonel John Proles. He sustained severe lacerations to his head and contusion injuries. Upon gathering himself and clearing off dust, he proceeded to do what he was trained to do, help others. Despite being seriously injured, he started moving debris to access a critically injured victim who later succumbed to his injuries. Sergeant Wiseman immediately assisted with helping the injured and evacuating those who were wounded but ambulatory. She was soon joined by her husband, firefighter medic Captain John Wiseman, who was meeting her for lunch. He arrived as the dust from the crash was still settling. Captain Wiseman assessed victims, cleared a path for firefighters and medics to quickly access the most critically injured, and relayed vital information to responding fire EMS department personnel. Off-duty firefighter medic Stephen Zamari came on the scene moments after the crash and before the arrival of fire and EMS responders. Without hesitating, he went to work assisting with patient care, evacuation, and scene safety. For extreme personal risk and the highest degree of judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, retired Lieutenant Colonel John Proles is hereby awarded the Gold Medal of Valor. For immediate actions in assisting, evacuating, and treating the injured while operating in or near an unsafe environment and without protective gear and great personal risk, Deputy Sheriff Sergeant Christine Wiseman is awarded a Silver Medal of Valor. For operating in or near an unsafe environment without protective gear, great personal risk, judgment, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Captain John Wiseman and firefighter Stephen Zamari are hereby awarded the Silver Medal of Valor.
I'm sure many of you remember seeing the video of what it was like when that car went into the tavern, and that initially folks inside thought maybe a bomb had gone off because it hit that air conditioning unit as that car came in. And there was one part in that video you could see one of the officers having lunch at the tavern start to go for his gun, like, this, you know, do I need to step into action here, before they realized when the smoke cleared that it was a car inside of the tavern. Brick wall, no way to tell that it was coming in there when it did. We were on the scene, Doreen, just minutes after this happened. We just happened to be down the street in Upper Marlboro when it happened. It was a catastrophic scene, and all of the work that these folks did helped to keep everyone safe and calm. Just fantastic work, just fantastic work. If you don't remember, go back and take a look at what it looked like and what it was like when this all initially happened. A lot of lives saved because of their quick action.
And seeing the video can't compare it to being there in person. It was pretty awful. Congratulations again to all of our heroes today. And just want to thank you all for inviting Tracy and me to share this wonderful occasion with all of you. It truly is an honor for us. We appreciate what you do. Thank you for your service, and thank you for looking out for all of us.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank Doreen and Tracy for helping us today and doing such a great job. We have a small token of our appreciation that's coming up here. These are display cases that every agency within public safety has a challenge coin that would sit on this display. Finally, I'd like to ask Chaplain Reynolds from the Department of Corrections to come forward for the benediction, and thank you all for coming.
Lord, we thank you for letting us see another day and another Valor Awards this year. We thank you for the men and women who have answered the call to serve the people of Prince George's County. We thank you for allowing them to think of others first in their many acts of heroism. We ask that you would protect us all as we leave this place and let us get to our final destination safely. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.